this being the day prescribed by Article 3, Section 14 of the Constitution of the State of Maryland for the meeting of the General Assembly, I now call the Maryland Senate to order. Today's invocation will be given by former Senator Andrew SERAFINI, guest of Senator Ferguson. Please rise for the invocation.
Well, I can't see you all, so I hope you're not terribly disappointed who is giving the invocation today. I wanted to empathize with you, so I'm using a back screen of a hockey penalty box, and I got my Capitals jersey on. So please know I love you all. I do miss you, and I just appreciate everything that we've ever been able to do together. So I want to share a few thoughts and then a prayer if I can. History is replete with examples that we should consider in such a world that's turned upside down. In ancient Rome years ago, a victorious general would enslave those that he had just defeated, and then they would have a major parade for them through Rome. But an interesting thing when they did this is they would have one of the enslaved, conquered people ride with this victorious general. And the whole time during the procession, they would whisper in their ear, "Life is short, fame is fleeting, don't ever forget that." We find a similar tradition in the Jewish faith. Their first king, King Saul, he was not paraded before the people in a glorious chariot or anything, but he rode on a donkey and in humility. Same thing for the Christian faith. Palm Sunday celebrates the entrance of Jesus into the city, but on a donkey, not a big fanfare. I think these are interesting things for us to consider. How do we humbly serve the people of Maryland? How do you? I'm sorry, not me anymore. I also want to read a piece of scripture for you. This is from Romans 13. It says, "Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities." That's you. "For there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. For the one in authority is God's servant for your good." My friends, more than ever, our country needs heroes. Our people are looking for people that will serve them humbly, who will not do what they can, but will do something even better. I know you all. I have great confidence in all of you. I really do, that you will rise to this call. Our nation, our country, our communities need you more than ever. This will not be easy. Some will not understand and some will resist. But in your heart, you will know, just like I have learned, that your time in Annapolis is fleeting. Even life is fleeting. It is when we step into the moment in humility and seek that greater good that we feel God's smile and we see the hope of our people renewed. I will be praying for you as you make history this session, that you will rise up and restore the hope of our people as they see you work in a unified fashion for the greater good in a humble method. Let's pray. God, please protect these elected officials. Keep them healthy and safe through this session. I especially think of President Emeritus Miller. Please comfort him and give him peace. For our people in this state and even our country, Father, come near and calm their hearts. For all the staff and support personnel in Annapolis and elsewhere that work so hard during the session, give them strength. For the healthcare heroes, encourage them and also give them strength. For the leadership in Annapolis, for the Speaker, for the President of the Senate, and for the Governor, give them your wisdom. We love you, Lord, and praise you because you are worthy. And we pray for all of this in your most holy and magnificent name. Amen. Friends, I will be praying for you. I miss you. Thank you for the memories and the friendships we've created over time. God bless you. God bless you so much. Take care.
Madam Presider.
Senator from the 33rd District?
Please make a motion to journalize the comments of our very fine former colleague.
Those words will be journalized. You may be seated. Will the clerk please call the roll by district?
District 1, George C. Edwards. District 2, Paul D. Quarterman. District 3, Ronald N. Young. District 4, Michael J. Huff. District 5, Justin Reedy. District 6, Johnny Ray Salling. District 7, J.B. Jennings. District 8, Catherine A. Klossmeyer. District 9, Katie Fry Hester. District 10, Dolores G. Kelly. District 11, Shelley Heddleman. District 12, Clarence K. Lamb. District 13, Guy J. Gazzoni. District 14, Craig J. Zucker. District 15, Brian J. Feldman. District 16, Susan C. Lee. District 17, Cheryl C. Kagan. District 18, Jeff Wallstreicher. District 19, Benjamin F. Kramer. District 20, William C. Smith, Jr. District 21, Jim Rosapep. District 22, Paul G. Penske. District 23, Douglas J.J. Peters. District 24, Joanne C. Benson. District 25, Melanie Griffith. District 26, O.B. Patterson. District 27, Michael A. Jackson. District 28, Arthur Ellis. District 29, Jack Bailey. District 30, Sarah K. Elrith. District 31, Bryan W. Simonaiре. District 32, Pamela Beidel. District 33, Edward Riley. District 34, Robert Casserly. District 35, Jason Gallion. District 36, Stephen S. Hershey. District 37, Adelaide C. Eckhart. District 38, Mary Beth Carroza. District 39, Nancy J. King. District 40, Antonio Hayes. District 41, Jill P. Carter. District 42, Chris West. District 43, Mary Washington. District 44, Charles E. Signor III. District 45, Corey McCrae. District 46, William C. Ferguson. District 47, Malcolm Augustine.
46 senators having answered to their names, a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland 2021 is now in session and is ready for the transaction of business. The first order of business is the election of a temporary presiding officer. Are there any nominations? The chair recognizes the senator from the 47th District.
Madam Secretary?
Is there a second to the nomination?
Madam Secretary?
The chair recognizes the senator from the 30th Legislative District.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I rise today. There's not much I can add to that incredible introduction and motion from my colleague. But if I can speak a little from a personal space, it is my utmost privilege to second the nomination of the senator from the 25th District to serve as our second in command. No one knew when we sat here just a year ago the challenges that we and our communities and our constituents would be facing. And I have so much respect for the integrity in which we have been led as a body. And the senator from the 25th District has been an incredible asset to us. On a personal note, she is my go-to. She is the person I turn to most for advice. When I was a freshman and we were freshmen in the Senate together, I leaned on her for her guidance and her experience and her wisdom in serving constituents and serving in this General Assembly. It is my honor on a personal note as a friend, but also as a colleague to second the nomination. Am I permission to use the senator's name? Of Senator Melony Griffith for Senate pro tempore. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there any further nominations? Chair hearing none, the nominations are closed. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Secretary?
Have all the senators voted?
Madam Secretary, my button's not working.
Oh, goodness. Okay. She got up there. Okay, I think it's been fixed. The clerk will record the vote. The Honorable Melony G. Griffith from the 25th District is elected as the President Pro Tem. Congratulations, Senator. In light of the pandemic conditions, the senator will take the oath from her desk. Senator, will you please rise and raise your right hand? I state your name.
I, Melony G. Griffith,
Do swear that I will support
do swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of President Pro Tem
execute the office of President Pro Tem
according to the Constitution and laws of this state,
according to the Constitution and laws of this state,
and that I will not directly or indirectly
and that I will not directly or indirectly
receive the profits
receive the profits
or any part of the profits
or any part of the profits
of any other office during the term
or any other office during the term
of my acting as President Pro Tem.
of my acting as President Pro Tem.
Congratulations. Madam Pro Tem, will you please take the dais?
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Press the button. Good afternoon. Thank you so much, colleagues. First, let me say how much I appreciate the thoughtful and kind words of my friends, the senators from District 47 and District 30, and the confidence that each of you have shown me. You may recall that at this time last year, I was thrilled to introduce you all to my family, and I was honored to be joined at the desk by my dad and my two sons. Well, my dad sends his regards this year. He, like many others, are unable to travel during this time. But it really has been my pleasure to serve this past year alongside my friend, our President, Bill Ferguson, and each member of this body. We had no idea, as the senator from District 30 was saying, we had no idea what 2020 would bring us. We had no idea that we would find ourselves in a year of unprecedented challenges, but together we faced, on behalf of the citizens of this great state, the challenges of the tragic events of last Wednesday, a global pandemic. We were confronted by racial justice reckonings. We were confronted by the need to address, like never before, historic issues around criminal justice reform, environmental justice issues. We had life and death health disparities amplified by the impact of COVID-19 and the undeniable historic disparity in opportunities to achieve wealth in the Black and brown communities. Our president, Bill Ferguson, didn't shy away from these issues. Instead, he boldly compelled us to work collaboratively across party lines without regard for our jurisdictions or our committees to address these issues. Folks, 2021 promises to present us with new challenges, but I'm convinced because we are committed to looking beyond our differences, we will find consensus approaches to address the issues the year brings. We will rise to the occasion by fulfilling our commitment to protect and serve together. And with that, it is my extreme honor to begin the process of the election of the president. So the next order of business is the election of the president by the Senate. We are ready to hear nominations. The chair recognizes the senator from the 39th district.
Thank you, Madam President Pro Tem, and congratulations to you. Normally, when making a nomination speech, you talk about the person's life, their education, their long list of accomplishments, but there is nothing normal about this year. What I would like to focus on is the accomplishments of this senator over a span of just 1 year. This senator stepped into a role that has been held by only one other person for over 30 years. To say he had big shoes to fill is an understatement, but fill those shoes he did. And he did it with an eye on the future, but also with an appreciation and respect for the past. He spent 2.5 months leading up to session with an almost boot camp-like intensity of learning and practicing. He spent hours in the Senate chamber studying the rules of procedure and practicing the scripts. So when he called the Maryland Senate to order on that first day, he didn't miss a beat. And then March came, and with it came COVID-19. There was no playbook. There is no playbook. But he moved ahead with a determination to do the work of the people while doing all he could to ensure the health and safety of his colleagues and the entire staff. Over the last 9 months, he has led the Senate through this pandemic with compassion, inclusiveness, and decisiveness. Colleagues, we are in good hands, and we need to stay in those good hands, so it is my honor and pleasure to nominate Senator Bill Ferguson for President of the Senate of Maryland.
Thank you, Senator. Is there a second to the nomination?
Yes, ma'am.
The chair recognizes the senator from the 40th district.
Madam President Pro Tem and colleagues of the Maryland Senate, I've known the distinguished senator from the 47th for close to 20 years, and everything that the senator from Montgomery County said is dead on. He's a loving father. He's true in his heart, a pure educator who care about so many Marylanders. And many in this body question who would fill the shoes of the President Emeritus. And without a doubt, he stepped up in a major way. And the leadership that he's displayed here in this body and on behalf of us as Maryland senators, I am proud to stand here before you today and second the nomination of the senator from the 47th District, Senator Bill Ferguson, as President of the Maryland Senate.
Thank you, Senator. Are there any further nominations? The chair hearing none, the nominations are closed. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam President Pro Tem?
Has everyone recorded their vote? The clerk will take the call. There being 46 votes in the affirmative, the Honorable William C. Ferguson IV is elected as permanent presiding officer. Congratulations, sir. I'll now... All right, I'll now administer the oath of office. If you would raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, William C. Ferguson IV,
Do swear
do swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
to
the state of Maryland
the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will,
to
to the best of my skill and judgment,
the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of President according to the Constitution and laws of this state, and that I will not directly or indirectly receive the profits or any part of the profits of any other office during the term of my acting as president. Congratulations, Mr. President. Please join me on the dais. Colleagues, please give a rousing round of applause to a man who's just been a phone call away for each one of us for a year. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you. What a year. First, let me say thank you to the senators from the 39th District and the 40th District. You got me a little teary-eyed, so I have to take a bit of a moment. This has been an unbelievable year. I've stood up here over the last few weeks so many times looking out. It's one thing to see it with the empty pods. It's a whole other thing to see it with folks here. This is something very, very, very different. I really want to start with the most important, which is thanking those who made today possible. First and foremost, the incredible staff that I am surrounded by, my teammates in this work, who were able to deal with this unbelievable, extraordinary interim with all of the preparations here. We would not be in this chamber in as low-risk environment as we are without the help of some very particular individuals who I really want to make sure to call out by name at the front of this session. From the Office of Operations and Support Services, DJ LaSalle, Debbie Feely, Cliff Curtis, Mike Forrester. These folks were working 18 hours a day, every day for the last 3 months to find a way to get this process to happen in this chamber. A special thanks as well to Jim Ray from Arundel Building Concepts, who helped design these beautiful pods. We're still finding a name for them at the moment. Mike Gaudiello and his entire team, Heather Kohler, Karen Cassidy, and the entire crew from the Office of Information Systems, they have just been doing Herculean work from start to finish. Also, Bridget Wickline and from Human Resources and everybody in the Office of Support Services under Lori Mathis, including those who are in the Office of Policy Analysis and DLS with Ryan Bishop. They have truly been working in ways that were unimaginable, and I want to thank them at the very start. I also want to thank our Sergeant at Arms, Steve Stewart and James Herod, who have been dealing with, especially in the last week, ensuring that this can happen as safely and securely as possible. They are always dedicated. How they have stepped up over this last week has been truly, truly remarkable. We were able to see our former Senate colleague, but we're also not joined by another Senate colleague. This is the first the first session in 50 years where Thomas V. Mike Miller, Jr. Will not be here in Annapolis to kick off the work of the people. I just want to say, while his physical presence is not here, I am very confident that he is listening right now and likely taking notes about what went wrong to call later, but most importantly, his impact will be felt by public servants for generations to come in this great state, and I just want to thank him for his incredible service to get us to this place over these last 50 years. I'm going to be brief, but I want to just set the context, I think, of what we're walking into. I really struggled to think about what exactly it was that we were walking ourselves into right now. And I stood in the middle of the chamber about a week ago and had a moment where something sort of flashed. This chamber, where we are today, those doors opened 120 years ago. In that time, Marylanders have faced another global pandemic. They fought in and won 2 world wars. We experienced a war in Vietnam and a war on terror. We faced Great Depressions and Great Recessions. We faced riots, unrest, struggles for civil rights, battles for the right to vote, and every single thing in between. Through all of it, this room stood, and the Maryland Senate convened. The last time all of us were here was on March 18th. We ended the 90-day session 19 days early, the first time since the Civil War. When we were looking ahead back in March at that time, none of us could have predicted what the next 10 months would unfold. We witnessed a global virus overwhelm our hospitals, our economy, our children's education, and our fundamental sense of security about our future. We felt the pain of tragedy and death as far too many of our friends and family members and neighbors succumbed to this deadly virus that knows no political party, it knows no boundary, no race, no religion, no creed. We experienced a summer of painful unrest that arose from a reckoning of racial injustice that has systematically impacted our institutions for far too many generations. We traversed a national political campaign for president that tore at the very fabric of our country's political stability. And most recently, we witnessed the unthinkable, the storming of the U.S. Capitol by our fellow Americans who resorted to the capital sin of representative democracy, a show of force and intimidation intended to undermine a free and fair election. And yet, here, today, the Maryland Senate convenes. Why? Why are we here? The specific answer to that question is personal for each and every one of us. We all have our own story, but I am certain that it centers on the same theme. It's because fundamentally, we believe that tomorrow can be better than today. We know that these problems and challenges will not be solved by hope alone. They will take work, they will take compromise, and most importantly, they will take solutions. Each and every one of us that is here today has that key fundamental goal. We have a role to play together to move this state forward into that better future. Over these next 90 days, we have the unbelievable opportunity to truly change destiny. We have the ability to deliver to Marylanders who are struggling like never before all of the support and help that they want, that they deserve, and that they need. If we look towards history, the times and the years following a pandemic are often the societies that experience the single greatest innovation and collaboration. We've already started to see that manifest with this unbelievable vaccine using mRNA to use our own bodies to fight a brand new virus created within just a year. We've seen it in our classroom teachers who are coming up with innovative ways to reach out and try to find a way to get to their students. We've seen it with our businesses who have designed new protocols to keep their employees safe and still try to serve their clients. And we've seen it here in the Senate of Maryland with each and every one of you and your staff. Over these last 10 months, there has not been a day gone by where the members of this body have not fought tooth and nail to get resources to Marylanders who need it most. But let's be very clear. This session will not be easy. In fact, it may be one of the most operationally difficult sessions that we have seen in the last 120 years. But I'm confident that we will get through this together because we have such an incredible moment. Marylanders are counting on each and every one of us to do what they don't have the ability to do for themselves. Assist the most vulnerable families and businesses, support education for our children, restore true trust and accountability in policing, and implement policies that eliminate inequities in all parts of our society. It's going to take very, very tough conversations. It's going to take creative problem solving, long hours, and working across the aisle in ways and spaces and formats that we have never seen or used before. But I know each and every one of you. I know what drives you to be in this room today, and I know that we will do it effectively because we simply have no other choice. I'm going to finish with a bit of Roosevelt, of Teddy, not Franklin. It's one of my favorite thoughts about who we are as a people. The fundamental rule in our national life, the rule which underlies all others, is that on the whole and in the long run, we shall go up or down together. Members of this Maryland Senate, now convened for the 442nd General Assembly in this 2021 session, I say we choose to go up. I say we choose to do it together. Let's get to work. All right, the first order of business is the order of organization. The clerk will read the first order.
By the Majority Leader, resolved that the following desk officers be and are hereby elected to serve during the legislative session of 2021. Secretary of the Senate, Nicole M. Alexander. Assistant Secretary, Veronica Brandon Sipkins. Assistant Secretary, Caitlin E. Sanders. Journal Clerk, Dorothy D. Cheney. Reading Clerk, Renee M. Smoot. Assistant Reading Clerk, Andrea C. Jones. Proceedings Clerk, Joanne H. Greer. Chief Page, Renee M. Smoot. Assistant Clerk, Nicholas D. Garrett.
The clerk will call the roll on the confirmation of the desk officers for the 2021 session.
Mr. President,
has everyone recorded their vote? If so, the clerk will take the call. With unanimous support, the desk officers for the 2021 session are now confirmed. The clerk will read the next order.
by the Majority Leader, ordered by the Senate of Maryland that for the regular legislative session of 2021, the Senate adopts the rules as in effect at the end of the regular legislative session of 2020, as well as Rule 118.
Senators, there's a change here and want to make sure that we bring your attention to that change. This is Rule 118. Rule 118 is the rules that will implement the procedures of this session, the extraordinary procedures of this session, and we want to make sure that that is of note. They should have been sent to you ahead of time. The chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This rule change reflects the conversation that the President and his staff have had concerning the rules for COVID in place. They have been reviewed with the Senate COVID Advisory Work Group and have support, and we urge its passage.
The chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the Rules Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The Senate Rules Committee met today and voted unanimously to support Rule 118.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion on the Senate rules or Rule 118? The question before the body is the adoption of the rules, including Rule 118. If there's no further discussion, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
has everyone recorded their vote? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in favor, the Senate rules, including Rule 118, are now adopted. The clerk will read the next order.
By the Majority Leader, ordered that the monies appropriated for the expense of this regular legislative session of 2021, as set forth in the appropriation bill, be paid upon the joint order of the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Delegates. By order, Nicole M. Alexander, Secretary.
Hearing no objection, the order is adopted. The clerk will read the next order.
By the Majority Leader, ordered that the President shall appoint the employees necessary for the proper transaction of the business of this regular legislative session of 2021 as provided for in the budget. This order to remain in effect until changed or modified by the Senate. By order, Nicole M. Alexander, Secretary.
Hearing no objection, the order is adopted. The next order of business is an announcement by the President. The clerk will read the announcement.
The President makes the following announcement. Majority Leader, Senator Nancy J. King. Deputy Majority Leader, Senator Joanne C. Benson. Assistant Deputy Majority Leader, Senator Arthur Ellis. Majority Whip, Senator Susan C. Lee. Deputy Majority Whip, Senator Corey V. McCray. Deputy Majority Whip, Senator O.B. Patterson. Deputy Majority Whip, Senator Pamela Beidel. Democratic Caucus Chair, Senator Craig Zucker. Democratic Caucus Vice Chair, Senator Antonio Hayes.
The announcement is ordered journalized. The clerk will read the next announcement.
The Senate committee announcements are on the side of your desk and on the floor system.
Senators, you should have a copy of these. These are our committee announcements. Without objection, the announcement is ordered journalized. The clerk will now read a message from the Minority Caucus.
The Senate Minority Caucus met on October 10, 2020, for the purpose of electing minority floor leaders for the 2021 legislative session. The following members have been selected. Minority Leader, the Honorable Byron SIMONAIRE, District 31. Minority Whip, the Honorable Michael HOUGH, District 4.
The announcement is ordered journalized, and the chair calls on the Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a pleasure. We realize this is going to be a very challenging session, but we also believe it's going to be a productive session as we work together, and we want to convey that we want to work together in a collaborative manner with you. I've been down here, I think this is my 15th session, and as I look across through the wood sticks, I can see about 7 senators that still remain from the time I came here, and a lot of things have changed since that time. But one thing that hasn't changed is that we respect each other and we work together in a way that pleases the public. So we want to continue that way and look forward to it. And Mr. President, I especially want to thank you for including the Minority Party in the preparation for this Senate. We know you did a tremendous amount of work. So many phone calls you got, and I have to say, my wife, she would say, "Who's calling?" And I would say, "It's the Senate President." She goes, "Okay, you can talk to him." She put you up at a high priority, but we really appreciate all the work you did. If I can just say 2 more things. You know, we are a Senate body. We fight fiercely, but we are a body here, and sometimes we have some sad news. And I wanted to share that Senator from District 34, if I could use his name, Senator Casserly, recently lost his father. They had a funeral yesterday. He lived a long life, I believe 95 years, veteran and a dedicated family man. So we just want to convey, when you hurt, we hurt, and condolences to your family. And on the second thing, more celebratory, we have a new Republican in the chamber from District 2, if I could use his name.
Senator, may proceed.
Senator Quarterman was appointed earlier, but this is his first session, so we wanted to welcome him to the body. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Senator. Thank you, Mr. Minority Leader. We greatly appreciate your remarks, and again, pass our condolences to the Senator from the 34th, as well as the Senator from the 24th District, whose sister passed away, sadly, this week, and who is not joining us today as a result of preparing for her service tomorrow. So thank you for those remarks. Greatly appreciated. The clerk will now read the message from the House of Delegates.
By the Majority Leader, the House of Delegates has organized by the election of the Honorable Adrian A. Jones, Speaker of the House. We respectfully propose, with your concurrence, the appointment of a joint committee of 4 members, 2 on the part of the House and 2 on the part of the Senate, to wait upon the Governor and inform him that the General Assembly is now organized and prepared to receive any communications he may desire to make. We have appointed on the part of the House of Delegates, Delegate Boyce and Delegate Morgan. By order, Sylvia Seagard, Chief Clerk.
Without objection, the message is read and journalized. The clerk will now read the message to the House of Delegates.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, we have received your message notifying the Senate of the organization of your honorable body and requesting the appointment of a joint committee to wait upon the governor to inform him that the General Assembly is now prepared to receive any communication which he may desire to make. We have appointed on the part of the Senate Senators King and SIMONAIRE. The Senate has organized by the election of the Honorable William C. Ferguson IV as President. By order, Nicole M. Alexander, Secretary.
The message is now read and adopted. The clerk will read the next message.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, it is the intention of the House of Delegates to adjourn for more than 3 days during the 2021 legislative session as needed due to public health emergency. If the Senate of Maryland desires to adjourn for more than 3 days during the 2021 legislative session, the House consents. By order, Sylvia Seagard, Chief Clerk.
Without objection, the message is read and journalized. Members, just as a point of clarification, and generally neither chamber can be out for more than 3 days at a time. Given the pandemic conditions, there's been a mutual agreement between the Senate and the House that notification is not required should that time period be longer. So that is the purpose of these messages. The clerk will read the message to the House of Delegates.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, it is the intention of the Senate of Maryland to adjourn for more than 3 days during the 2021 legislative session as needed due to the public health emergency. If the House of Delegates desires to adjourn for more than 3 days during the 2021 legislative session, the Senate consents. By order, Nicole M. Alexander, Secretary.
The message is read and adopted. The clerk will now read a message to the Executive.
By the Majority Leader, His Excellency the Governor of Maryland, Lawrence J. Hogan, Jr. The Senate of Maryland is organized and prepared to receive any communication you may desire to make. The President of the Senate is the Honorable William C. Ferguson IV. By order, Nicole M. Alexander, Secretary.
The message without objection is read and adopted. The clerk will now read a message from the Executive.
Message from the Executive, recess appointments.
Senators, you should have a copy of these. These are the the governor's recess appointments. The appointments will now be referred to the appropriate committee, being the Committee on Executive Nominations. All right, we have a little bit of an out of order moment here, and we will start by asking for a motion to what's that? We're going to move to Rule 26A, and so we're going to have to suspend the rules. The reason being, if you read the rules, the rule book on the introduction of a new rule, it requires the passage out prior to session. This is a rule that was discussed during session, as the Majority Leader will explain, and so we'll do a vote on the suspension of the rules, and then we will take up the rules themselves. So, Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I would move to suspend Rule 116.1 to allow for the rule to be moved on the same day it was presented.
The Majority Leader moves for the suspension of Rule 116. Is there any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone should change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Rule 116 is now suspended. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader for the purpose of the introduction of a change to rules.
Thank you, Mr. President. Over the interim, the President created a work group of the President Pro Tem, myself as Majority Leader, the former Minority Leader, and current Minority Whip to discuss the need for a bill limit rule. We met with Department of Legislative Services and spoke to many senators to come to this conclusion, and we would urge the Senate to adopt this rule.
Thank you, Madam Majority Leader. Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the Rules Committee, followed by the Minority Whip.
I think I'll, Mr. President, I think I'll yield to the Minority Whip I think it's on this rule, isn't it? I believe, Minority Whip.
Senator yields to the Minority Whip.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. And I just rise to, I think you've explained it, our caucuses have explained the rules, but I just really rise to thank you for working with me over the last year on this rule and the body working collaboratively together. And if the body would indulge me for a minute, I did want to share a personal story. Many of you know I serve as a chief of staff for a member of Congress when I'm not down here. So on Wednesday, January 6th, at the events the Senate President talked about, for reasons of employment, I was there. And what happened was horrific. It was tragic. And not only did people lose their lives, but it interrupted the peaceful transfer of power that we began as Americans as a tradition in this very building. And so I just wanted to rise because I think this is the kind of action, these are the kinds of things that you see happen in the Maryland Senate. This is why I enjoy being a Maryland senator. It's because we can work together on things like this, that so many of the process and the things you see in D.C., we fortunately don't see that here. And I don't want to see that here. I really believe that much as Annapolis served as a role model in the peaceful transition of power, we can, this legislative session, by doing things like this, working together, and doing good government things like this, we can serve as a role model for the rest of the country. So I just rise to make that point, and I rise to thank you very much, Mr. President, and the members of the majority party for working with us on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minority Whip. Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the Rules Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I want to thank all those that put in effort to get this rule drafted. Today, the Senate Rules Committee met and voted unanimously to support Rule 26A.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Is there any further discussion on Rule 26A? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Rule 26A is now adopted. We have one additional change in the rules being proposed by the Minority Leader. First, we will deal with Rule 116. So the Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to move that we suspend Rule 116.1 to allow for the rule to be voted on the same day it was presented.
Majority Leader has moved that we suspend the Rule 116. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Rule 116 is now suspended. Chair now recognizes the Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. And again, I want to thank you for working with us on this. This creates the Deputy Minority Leader, and I wanted to announce today formally that Senator from District 33 will be filling that role. He has shown great leadership over the years and a great respect for the body, and I wanted to officially congratulate him today. Thank you.
And the Senator moves to the adoption of the rule. Excellent. The Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the Rules Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. In very bipartisan partnership, today the Senate Rules Committee met and we voted unanimously to support this.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Any discussion on the change in rules being proposed? If not, the question is the adoption of Rule 2D2. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone should change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Rule 2D2 is now adopted. I believe, Madam Secretary of the Senate, we have an announcement by the Minority Leader. Is that correct? The clerk will read the announcement.
the Senate Minority Caucus met on October 10th, 2020, for the purpose of electing the minority leaders for the 2021 legislative session. The following member has been selected: Deputy Minority Leader, the Honorable Edward R. Riley, District 33.
The message having been read without objection is adopted. Congratulations, Senator. The next order of business is, again, something different on a first day, is the introduction and discussion of the simple Senate resolution number 1. The clerk will read the resolution.
For the purpose of implementing modified procedures for the Senate of Maryland due to COVID-19, whereas a state of emergency and a catastrophic health emergency was declared for the state on March 5th, 2020, due to the spread of COVID-19, and whereas a national emergency concerning the COVID-19 outbreak was declared on March 13th, 2020, and whereas the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Maryland Department of Health have advised residents of the state to take precautions, including wearing masks and keeping at least 6 feet of distance from others to slow the spread of COVID-19, and whereas, as of January 11th, 2021, there have been over 309,600 confirmed cases of and over 6,100 confirmed deaths from COVID-19 in the state, and whereas hospitalizations due to COVID-19 have put a strain on the state's healthcare system, with the daily count of hospitalizations being over 1,600 since early December 2020, now therefore it be resolved by the Senate of Maryland that due to the spread of COVID-19, a state of emergency exists that necessitates the implementation of modified procedures to protect the health or safety of the members of the Senate of Maryland, their staff, and the public. And be it further resolved that Rule 118 of the Senate of Maryland Rules now applies.
Senators, this is the simple resolution attached to Rule 118 that we just passed. Is there any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, the question is on the adoption of the Senate Simple Resolution Number 1. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Simple Resolution Number 1 is adopted and Rule 118 is now in effect. All right, the next order of business is we have the vetoed bills. Senators, the first calendar of bills are the duplicative bills. These are the duplicative bills. The clerk will read the first calendar.
Senator Bailey, St. Mary's County Public Facilities. Should the bill pass, notwithstanding the objections of the Chief Executive?
So, Senators, this is the only duplicative bill that we had. Normally, this is a series of duplicative bills. The governor only, all the rest of the duplicative bills were House bills. So we have the Senate ones in our possession, just this one. The question, Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to move that we vote to sustain the governor's veto. No need.
Excellent. Thank you, Madam Majority Leader. So the question before the body right now is, shall the bills pass notwithstanding the objections? A vote in the green would override the veto. A vote in the red would sustain the veto. These are duplicative bills. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 1 vote in the affirmative and 45 in the negative, the governor's vetoes is sustained. The clerk will read the next calendar. Oh, excuse me, Senators, please strike that. We have to send over a message to the House to let them know what we've done. The clerk will read the message.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, the Senate today, notwithstanding the objections of the governor, voted to override the veto on Senate Bill 261. Said bill is sent to you for your consideration by order Nicole M. Alexander, Secretary of the Senate.
Madam Chair, we are going to have to adjust the message.
Yes. I'm sorry,
we're going to do this, members. We're going to pause. The message says that we overrode the veto. We did not. We in fact sustained the veto. This was the duplicative bill. So what we'll do is when we are back on the floor on Friday, we will read the message at that time and to the House of Delegates. Chair recognizes the senator from 34th District.
Yeah, I'd like to, Mr. President, change my, I can't see out of this thing. I'd like to change my vote on the last.
I was wondering when that might happen.
Yeah, I can't see the damn thing.
Without objection, the senator from the 34th District would like to go from green to red on the prior vote. Even better news, we don't need a message to the House of Delegates because it was sustained. So we are all good. So the clerk will read the next calendar.
Calendar of veto Senate Bills Number 2, 2021 Calendar of veto bills, policy bills. Shall the bills pass notwithstanding the objections of the Chief Executive?
Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to move that we special order this calendar until Friday, January 15th.
Majority Leader has moved to special order the calendar to the appropriate time on Friday, January 15th. Any discussion? Without objection, the bills shall be special ordered. All right, our next order of business, bear with us, Senators, we have a lot of bills. These are the bills that we have bill introductions next. Senators, want to appreciate the work that folks did there. We had a record number of pre-filed bills. So to get those officially to the committees, we're going to have to go ahead and introduce several calendars. So the clerk will read the first calendar.
Senate Introductory Bills Number 1, Senate Bill 1, Senator Signor, Historically Black Colleges and Universities Funding, B&T and EHE. Senate Bill 2, Senator McCray, Maryland Environmental Service Reform Act of 2021, B&T and EHE. Senate Bill 3, Senator Griffith, Preserve Telehealth Access Act of 2021, Finance.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. The clerk will read the next calendar.
Introductory Senate Bills Number 2, Senate Bill 51, Senator Bailey, Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland Property Management, Southern Maryland Regional Agricultural Center, Finance.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. Clerk will read the next calendar.
Introductory Senate Bills Number 3, Senate Bill 101, Senator Kagan, Criminal Law, Public Safety, Interference with Agency and Services Prohibition, JPR.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. The clerk will read the next calendar.
Senate Calendar Number 4, Senate Bill 151, Senator Patterson, Constitutional Amendment, Environmental Rights, JPR and EHE.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. The clerk will read the next calendar.
Introductory Senate Bills Number 5, Senate Bill 194, Senator Benson, Correctional Services, Inmates, Labor, Job Training and Educational Courses, Finance and B&T.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. The clerk will read the next calendar.
Introductory Senate Bills Number 6, Senate Bill 244, Senator Lamb, Maryland Funding Accountability and Transparency Act, Non-Budgeted State Agencies, EHE.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. We're almost there. Clerk will read the next calendar.
Introductory Senate Bill Number 7, Senate Bill 294, Senator Gallion, Cecil County Sales and Use Tax Exemption, Federal Facilities, Redevelopment Areas, B&T.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. The clerk will read the next.
Introductory Senate Bills Number 8, Senate Bill 345, Chair, Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs, State Government, Information Technology, Review of Projects and Proposals, EHE.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. The clerk will read the last calendar.
One more. Introductory Senate Bills Number 9, Senate Joint Number 1, Senator Kelly, Congressional Action, Surprise Billing, Air Ambulance, Finance.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. Senators, that's 352 bills. 352 bills introduced on the first day. This is a significantly larger number than any other session. Thank you for getting work done, and thank you to the Department of Legislative Services for getting these drafted and ready for us to be able to consider on behalf of the people of Maryland. The desk is clear on this very first day. So we're going to do announcements. Let's begin with the chair of the Finance Committee.
Mr. President and members of Finance will be meeting on tomorrow at 1 p.m. for bill hearings.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chair recognizes the Chair of Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs.
Mr. President, earlier you talked about what do we call these things. You mentioned pods, and I frequently explain that they're like 47 telephone booths. But then I find myself having to explain what a telephone booth is. So with that being said, Mr. President, the Education, Health, and Environmental Committee tomorrow will meet at 11 a.m. virtually for a committee organizational meeting. At 1 p.m., a briefing by the State Board of Elections, sort of summarizing and giving us data on the primary and general elections in November. And then at 2 o'clock, we'll have departmental hearings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair recognizes the Chair of Budget and Taxation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Budget and Tax will meet at 11 tomorrow for bill hearings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair recognizes the Chair of Judicial Proceedings Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Judicial Proceedings Committee will meet tomorrow at 11 for bill hearings. They're all departmental bills. We'll also welcome 2 new members of the committee. So thank you a lot.
Wonderful. And before we adjourn, well, I want to see if there are any announcements from other members, but I do want to make sure that we welcome our very newest member to the chamber, someone also filling very large shoes, who I had the honor of being able to swear in at 11 o'clock this morning. Our new, if senators will forgive me, Senator Michael Jackson. Welcome from the 27th District. Chair recognizes the senator from the 27th.
Thank you, Mr. President, and members of this esteemed body. I've had the honor of lobbying in some regards Annapolis in both chambers since the mid-90s, and I was honored in 2014 to be recruited as the delegate for 27B to run alongside Senator Emeritus Thomas V. Mike Miller. So this is a bittersweet opportunity for me, but know that this is one that I am poised to assume, and I look forward to working with you to continue the good works of District 27. So thank you again, Mr. President, and good day to everybody.
Thank you, Senator. Welcome again. And to the senator from the 2nd District, the second newest member of our body, who we were able to do a swearing in during a few months ago. Would the senator from the 2nd District like to say any words?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues, for the warm welcome you guys have bestowed upon me. I, like my friend here from Prince George's and other folks here, I'm incredibly thankful for the opportunity here. And as the President will confirm, I'm sure, when I was sworn in, my mother did the great honor of informing the President where my father before me sat, and I am very thankful to have that same opportunity back here today. So thank you very much, and look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Welcome. We have a few senators with announcements. We'll recognize first the senator from Anne Arundel County, the 32nd District.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm really having trouble hearing in our little phone booths. Thank you very much. The Anne Arundel County delegation would like to meet very, very briefly at the end of the session. I'm not sure, can we meet out in the hallway?
No, it has to be online because in order for it to be a public venue.
Has to be online. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore County, the 10th District. Chair of Finance.
Mr. President, just for tomorrow, Senate Finance is at 11 and not at 1, and they are departmental bills.
For tomorrow at 11, not 1, at 11. All right. Thank you, Senator. Another announcement from the senator from Baltimore County, District 8.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to remind Baltimore County delegation we meet at 2 o'clock online this afternoon, and the quicker you're there and the quicker we get it started, the quicker we'll be off. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. We've gotten a note that it may not be loud enough. There were a lot of audio specialists. I think the difference is that now that we have 46 members in the chairs, the echoes have changed. So they had to turn it down because it was too echoey with the new panels, I think we're going to have them readjust it, so we'll make sure that we adjust that. Are there any further announcements by senators?
Mr. President?
Yes, Chair recognizes the President Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, the Joint COVID-19 Response Legislative Work Group will meet at 3:30 p.m. today virtually.
We're jumping right into work, 3:30, talking vaccines. All right, any further announcements? If not, the clerk will call the roll for a quorum call.
Mr. President?
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 46 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session. Just before for recognizing the majority leader, just want to make a quick administrative and logistics note. As we all came in on, I refer to it as the Sally side, and would ask that everyone please exit through the Jake side of the chamber. We'd also ask that members please do not congregate in the aisles because they're very skinny. And then, of course, please walk through to the bathroom exit side and exit the chamber towards the stairwell through the door on that side of the chamber. These are kind of the new habits that we're going to have to find our way making work. Please feel free to use the stairs, but if you are going to use the elevator, please walk around. The House will be coming in probably any moment. They're already in. Okay, so please try not to congregate. Although it's our first day, just please be mindful. We are each other's keeper for these next 90 days. All right, Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate of Maryland adjourn to Friday, January 15th at 12 p.m.
Without objection, so ordered.